Hello everyone, welcome to another Narc Survivor live video. I am here out at the park today, just been for a little walk. And in this one we are going to be talking about how narcissists are not attractive. And this isn't a hate video against narcissists. I'm just using truth, facts, based on my experience and research. So before I begin, please give this video a thumbs up down below so that it will get this message out there, and then other people will see it as well. Narcissists are not attractive. And I'm sure I don't really need to make a video about this, but I thought it'd be fun. And it can still be quite informative as we go deeper into it. Because really this is the problem that all of us experience with them. If they were just attractive, there would be no problem. All of these problems arise because they are not attractive. And of course, I'm not talking about their physical appearance, although I guess that could be a part of it sometimes as well. As I've spoken about in previous videos, they can be quite lazy and neglectful. I mean, yeah, they can dress nice. They can do their hair, put on their makeup. You see what they're like behind closed doors. You see how they neglect their hygiene and appearance underneath their clothes and makeup. You see that they don't take proper care of themselves. But that's not so much what I'm going to discuss in this video. What I'm talking more about is their qualities, their traits. All of these things that make up who they are as a person. They're just not attractive at all. Everything they do repels us. It makes us want to run away. But I'm sure some of you may be watching this and thinking, so how did I end up with them in the first place? Or why do I feel this unreasoning desire, this obsessive need to go back to them? And of course, the reason for that is because they manipulated you, they gave you a false character, they deceived you. And if that was not true, you'd probably be pretty happy with them. There wouldn't be any problems. You never would have found my community to begin with. So these are all signs that yes, you were dealing with a false character, and maybe you are still right now. But they just give you words, they give you false promises, future faking, but they never follow it up with action. And in fact, all you see is these toxic behaviors, because that is who they really are. Everything else that you see is just a false character. It's a false display, a false image that they use to manipulate people. But once they've got you where they want you, that all goes away and they go into the devaluation, because that's more who they really are. They're very miserable people, very angry, bitter, and resentful. And it's just no fun when you are around them. But if you were around an attractive person, I'm sure it'd be a lot of fun then. Then that's a very different thing altogether. And I know, yes, this video may be triggering for some. I've been there, I know what it's like to have my self-esteem targeted to where I felt like I was not an attractive person, when in fact I was just manipulated. I was devalued by a narcissist who projected all of their shame, inadequacy, and deficiencies onto me. And I know many of you can relate to that. Yeah, I've been told all of these things before. And yet, look at my community. Over 170,000 subscribers, over 40 million views from people all around the world, all different walks of life, different cultures, different religions, different ages, genders, different everything. And yet I draw them all to me. Because despite what the narcissist says or makes up in their delusional minds, it's not enough to impact reality. Because in reality, I am a highly attractive person. I'm attracting all of you to me right now, as I do every day. And that really says a lot. Because many of you, you were around this grandiose narcissist who in their minds, they're the best thing since sliced bread. They're everything you've been waiting for, looking for, everything you need. And yet they manage to repel you away from them. And then you end up being drawn to me. And this is just how it works. Because this is what you really want. You want someone who listens to you, someone who understands you, where you feel like you're on the same page. And that is what you were really looking for. And that's really the only way that they can get in, is by pretending to be that. Just look back, remember in the beginning, when they love bombed you, they acted as though they were this person who cared. They pretended to listen to you and to be interested in you, because they already know that's exactly what we're really looking for. But that's not who they really are. Of course, someone like that is very attractive. Someone who is attentive, a good listener, a good thinker. Yes, they may have quite a good outward personality. They could be charismatic, maybe. But there's also an introverted side to them as well, where they're very imaginative and creative. These are all beautiful qualities, things that should be admired and respected. This is the type of person that we are. And it attracts narcissists. It's not just our physical appearance. I mean, yes, most of us, we do tend to be quite beautiful as well. And they want to be around that. They want to be around someone who is physically attractive. But not only that, they want someone who is going to pay them a lot of attention. Someone who is going to listen to them and try to help them. That's what they want as well. And that makes you attractive to pretty much anyone around the world. If you have these qualities, these traits, where you are empathetic, you're a good listener, you're imaginative and creative, you're all of these things, you can pretty much go anywhere in the entire world and people are going to be drawn to you. They're going to be highly attracted to you. There's no doubt about that. Narcissist or not, they're going to be all over you. All over you like a rash. And that's great. It's good to inspire and motivate other people. But we have to keep in mind as well that narcissists are drawn to this too. They're drawn to everything that is good about you. And think about it, it makes perfect sense. Because what they want is what they are missing. So you can't go and impose this character on them, which they led you to believe that they were in the beginning. It's really that simple. If you want to know exactly what a person is like underneath it all, just look at what they're looking for. That tells you what they're missing. But you were never attracted to them. And in fact, they're not really attracted to you for a long-term purpose. It's more just them coming in, get what they want, and then leaving. Because they understand as well that they do not belong around a person like you. Which is why they can only view you as something temporary. Because they know at some point you're going to figure them out. You're going to no longer desire to want to be around them. You're going to get bored. You're going to realize that you're being abused, manipulated, controlled. And then you're going to want to leave. You're not going to want to be around them anymore. But this is the source of all of our problems with narcissists. They're just unattractive people. They really are. And that is why no matter what, we just cannot get along. Because we're very different. We're like opposites. I've said it before, like attracts like. But they are nothing like us. They are very different. Everything about them just repels us away once we really know what we're dealing with. Well, let's go into that. Let's talk about it. What is it that makes them repel us so much? I mean, it's really everything. They're self-absorbed. They lack empathy. All they're really concerned about is their own pleasure and gratification. And even then, they can never even be satisfied. They always need more. Until they end up burning you out, breaking you down. Because it's never enough for them. So they're very selfish, they're very needy, desperate. Because they've been emotionally starved in their childhood. So now they're looking around for someone to complete them, for someone to make them happy. Well, that's just an impossible task. No one ever can. And that's another thing that makes them unattractive as well. It's the fact that no matter what you do, they're never happy. I mean, if you're with someone and you're putting in the effort, you're doing what you can, and they're still not happy about it, it just repels you away. Because it's like, what's the point? What's the purpose of it? If everything I do, you're still miserable. It's not even having an effect. I mean, naturally, we want to be effective. We want things to be progressive. But when you're dealing with a narcissist, it's like one step forward, two steps back. And then by the end of it, it's like you were supposed to be going in a certain direction, and then you see just how far back you are. Because that's all that's ever going to happen with them. You're just going to end up far back. You're never going to go forward. There is no winning with a narcissist. With someone who is self-absorbed, lacks empathy, they're arrogant and entitled, which of course are all huge turn-offs. Very repellent behaviors. You're never going to win with someone like that. I've had millions of people on my channel, tens of millions of people. I've spoken to hundreds of people around the world through my one-on-one coaching sessions. And in all of my research and experience, I've never heard of anyone feeling like they have won with a narcissist. That just never happens. Anyone who gets involved with a narcissist, they feel like they have lost something. They feel like something is missing. And even the narcissist, by the end of it, they're miserable as well. Any relationship involving a narcissist, it's just two miserable people. That's just how it is. And there may be other miserable people too if they decide to target other people outside of the relationship as well. This is why they do what they do. This is why they display a false character. This is why they manipulate and deceive us. They do it because they already know that there's nothing attractive about them. If they really believed that they were attractive, they would do what I'm doing right now. They would just be their authentic selves and they wouldn't hide it. They would openly display it as I do in all of my videos. I tell you exactly what's on my mind. I tell you exactly how I feel. Because I genuinely believe that my authentic self is highly attractive. I genuinely do believe in that. And I believe in it because it's working for me. It's worked up until this point. It's got me what I've wanted. It's given me many opportunities to help other people as well. So yes, of course, I am a genuine believer in that. And this is why I give it to you in every video. I display my authentic self to the best of my ability. But that's the thing with narcissists, they always hide who they really are. because they already know you don't want to see that. That's why they give you the false character to begin with. That's why their whole motive is, when they target you, is to reflect back to your own qualities and virtues. They're not coming into it displaying who they are and what they're about. By the end of it, you realize what they're about based on what they choose to do. And they're not going around flaunting that as an accomplishment. The things that they're really about. Because let's talk about what they're really about. The things that they've done to you. They manipulated you, they lied to you, they gaslit you, they deceived you, they future faked. Many of them cheated on you, they stole from you. That is who they really are. They're not going around flaunting all of that though, are they? They hide all of that stuff. They don't put it out in the open. Because they know that all of these things make them unattractive people. So they're never going to broadcast that. But what they will broadcast are things that they deem to be attractive and desirable. Things that actually have nothing to do with them at all. They'll play along with it as long as they think that it's getting them somewhere with you or with someone else. While knowing fully well all along they were never about that. They knew you were about it. They knew that was something that you believed in. They knew that it did something for you. And they could see. In the beginning, they were looking at you like, yes, you're an attractive person. You have all of these desirable qualities and abilities. And that's what drew them to you. But then at the same time, it's like they realized that this was going to complement their image for them to be around you in public. For them to be out with you around other people. So that's how they were looking at it like. That's what it was doing for them. I mean, I remember when an absolute delusional, grandiose, I wouldn't even say a narcissist, I would say a full-blown psychopath targeted me. And she said in the beginning, she pointed out all of these things that she liked about me and why she believed so many people hate me. She said it's the way that I walk, the way that I talk. I walk like I'm walking on air or something. There were all of these things that she could see, and we have to remember that yes, they are predators, so they can instantly identify all of these attractive traits about you. Things that are going to make them look good. Things that will attract other people. Things that are desirable. They're not completely blind. Yes, of course, they can see all of that. But they're only looking at it as what's going to complement their image. What's going to make them look good in front of other people. Whether it's their family, friends, acquaintances, co-workers, whoever it is. That's how they're looking at it. That's how they're perceiving it. And they will even take on some of these qualities for themselves to mirror back to you. Because they see you doing it and it's working well for you. So they assume that maybe they can get a bit of that. Maybe it can make them seem more attractive too. Or it might draw you closer to them. So that's how they're typically playing it in their heads. Which is why they do tend to adopt a lot of our characteristics. Although it's only temporary, that's not who they really are. It never becomes a permanent distinguishing part of them. It's just something that they use to manipulate us. But yes, they will use these things temporarily. Because you got to think as well. I mean, although I myself, typically I can go anywhere in the world and be a highly attractive person, regardless of who I'm around. But generally speaking, what is attractive around one group of people or in one situation may not be attractive in another group or another situation. This is why narcissists are shapeshifters. They're chameleons. So they will completely change from one moment to the next. One minute they're mirroring you, then they go off into another situation and they're mirroring someone else. Then they're appealing to their ideals instead. So they never actually present an authentic part of them. There is nothing authentic about them. They're constantly shape-shifting. They're constantly molding themselves into whatever they think other people want to see so that they can get what they want in that moment. Which in most situations, of course, it's going to be narcissistic supply. That's the only thing they're concerned about because they're always miserable and they're always trying to find a way to feel better about themselves. But of course, when you are their nearest and dearest, when you are the closest person to them, they can't keep that up for a long time. They might keep it up for an hour, maybe a couple of hours. But when it's spanning across several days, that's when it's difficult for them to maintain. For myself, as you know, my videos are evidence of the fact that I can forget several days for several years, because this is who I am, this is my authentic self, what you're seeing right now. But for narcissists, even to maintain for just a few days, which is nothing when you think about a relationship, you need to be at it every day. That's the only way it's going to work. But for narcissists, they can't keep it up for long. They can't maintain this facade. So of course, at some point they have to drop the act, and that is when they begin to devalue you. But you're looking at it like they don't approve of you or something is wrong with you. You're not good enough for them. When in actuality, it's just a projection of their shame because they can't maintain their act around you. And you're no longer validating the illusion. So it's a projection of the fact that they already know that they are inadequate. Of course, they're going to project that onto you because they already know you are an attractive person. You have all of these desirable traits. You're imaginative, creative. You are powerful, confident, highly capable. You can be whatever they want or need you to be. You can live up to that. So when they project these things onto you, they already know that unlike them, because they're deficient, they're inadequate, they're incapable of being or doing that. But for you, you can actually go out and do it. You can actually go out and do the impossible. You can be the impossible. I mean, as an attractive person, that's what it's about. Unlike narcissists, you actually have the capabilities to be something. Instead of just acting like it or pretending to be it. You have the stamina. You can maintain it, even under pressure. But for them, it's like a house of cards. It just falls apart. They can't sustain these things. A narcissist is the type of person who just swoops in like a bird. They just fly in. They just take what they can get and then they're out of there. Everything has to be fast. It has to be quick before you figure them out. Before you see who they really are underneath the mask. And then by the end of it, it's like Star Wars. It's like you're there with your lightsaber. They've gone around, said all of these things about you. And you're just like this master Jedi trying to fight them all off. Just... That's just how it goes. And they point the finger at you as though it's something to do with you. But it's actually because of them. They're projected onto you the fact that they could never live up to your expectations. That's what the real problem is. Because if they could, believe me, they would just go out and do that. But they don't because they can't. I mean, it's so easy to get someone in the moment. You know what, like they do? They come around. You see narcissists out in public. They come around you. They get their 2-second dirty high. Anything that boosts them up in the moment. Yeah, that's where the masters are doing that. They can come in and act superior for a moment. Anyone can do that. Anyone can put on a facade, a mask, and pretend to be something they're not for a few seconds. That's easy for anyone to do. Try doing that for a week, a month, a year. Try being at that level for a long period of time. Oh wait, you can't. Because that's not who you are. It's inauthentic. And that is why you can't do that. They cannot maintain this facade over a long period of time. And that's what makes them such unattractive and repellent people. It's what pushes us away. Because they come in and it's like, oh, yeah, I'm this, I'm that. I'm great, I'm incredible, I'm amazing, I'm everything you want. Everything that you've been waiting for, looking for, whatever. And then gradually over time, like a balloon, it begins to deflate. You start to see the cracks in their armor, in their false image. And you're looking at it like, hold on a minute. You're not who you said you were in the beginning. You're not this high and mighty, powerful, confident person who can swoop in and be everything that I need them to be. You're not that at all. And in fact, you are the opposite. But what they do is they try to spin it around on you. As soon as they can see that who they are as a person, just imagine it like a balloon, it's just deflating over time. As soon as the air is starting to run out, they feel that, they know it. They know their time is running out, so then they've got to unload it onto you. They're going to make you feel like it's you. And in actuality, believe it or not, they're right. Once you've spent enough time around them, then it is you. Because they said they were going to be this person. They presented themselves as this person who would compliment you in a relationship or whatever it was, so that you would be equal partners, you would complement each other, you could build something together. They presented themselves as that in the beginning, but then they started slacking. They couldn't live up to that image because it was fake. But you were still giving out in an attempt to sustain their false image. You were still giving your time, effort, attention, and energy to it. So it was draining the life out of you. So your value was going down over time, which made it very easy for them to point the finger at you, because you were giving it everything you've got and you were getting nothing out of it. And that's why it's so effective when they turn around and devalue you. Because it's like, yes, I've given all that I've got, all of my time, energy, and effort, all of my money and resources I've invested into you in this relationship, and it's having no effect. It's just falling into a void. So maybe you're right. Maybe I am nothing. Maybe I am a pile of shit. Because I've lost everything I had. I've given it all to you in this relationship and I've gotten nothing out of it. You see how they spin it around on you. But you've got to look at them and think, hold on a minute. What have you brought to this relationship? What have you done for me? And that is how you should know. And you should come to the conclusion that they are low value people, presenting themselves as high value people. But it can get confusing because when high value people come around them, they gradually lose their value. And the narcissist value is going up. When you're around them, their value goes up, yours goes down. So by the time you get to the devaluation phase, it's so easy for them to turn around and point the finger at you. Because it's like, yes, okay, I hold my hands up to it. My value has gone right down just from being around you, to the point where I don't even know who I am, what I stand for, what I believe in anymore. And there's no other source of influence. There's nothing else telling me just how great I am. So it's so easy for them to come in and to tell you who you are and to devalue you. It's so easy for them to come in and do that. Because you've been around them for such a long time. To the point where your value has just gone down. You've lost it. And this is why, and this may happen for you as well, as I've experienced in my own experience. As soon as you leave them and you go no contact, you're on your own, your value just skyrockets. your value just goes through the roof. You become far more valuable than you ever were when you were around them. How is that possible? It's possible because, quite simply, you are just around a low-value person who is keeping you down. And this may have been unconscious for them, because a lot of them are in denial. They don't want to accept that, yes, in fact, they are low-value people. If they were high-value people, they would be building you up. Their presence would be making your life a lot easier rather than more difficult. When you are around a low-value person, they are a liability. They're weighing you down, they're holding you back from being the best version of yourself. When you are around a high-value person, everything gets a lot easier for you. That's the difference. Narcissists are low value, they're unattractive people. That is why they repel us away. A lot of you don't consciously realize it because of the narrative that they portray. But when you look at it, that's what it comes down to. They are a low value person. And that's what makes them unattractive. It's what repels us away from them. But it confuses us as well, because we're looking at it like, so why do they devalue us and discard us in the end? That's because they've already come around you and drained all of the value out of you. They only see you as something temporary because they know like attracts like, we do not belong around them. That's why they use the false character to manipulate us. That's how they got in. So they just come around and they rob us of our value. And then they just run off. They're off to the next to do the same thing again. Or so they think, but the reality is that it's highly unlikely that they will ever find anyone like ourselves. Because as I've said in previous videos, and this is based on actual real studies and research. So this is factual information, real statistics that state that only 1 to 2% of the entire world's population are empaths. So the odds of them moving on and finding someone who is like ourselves, possibility is just extremely unlikely. I mean, they would have to run through thousands of supplies until they finally find a person like that. And as we know, narcissists are very lazy. They haven't got that kind of power where they can go through that amount of people. They tend to just find one and stick with that. And typically what tends to happen is they tend to go around people like themselves. As I said, like attracts like. And this is why you will notice in the family dynamic, they all tend to be narcissistic, and yet they stick together. And they scapegoat the one person who may be an empath. They turn against them. Because the reality is that they do not like us. Yes, they're drawn to us in the beginning. They're attracted to our qualities, but that's only so they can rob them and just use us for our energy. That's all that's for. It's just so they can rob it out of us. They're not coming around in a way where they're thinking they can build anything with us. Because for that to be possible, they would have to be the same. They would have to be empaths as well. But it's extremely rare. You would be lucky if you came across one empath in your entire life. You would be very lucky if you found that. But the odds are that if you do, you're going to know it, you're going to know it's something different, and you're going to hold on to it, unlike a narcissist who just discards us and treats us with contempt. Because that's what they do when they see an empath. They don't view us as anything. They want to keep around long term. They never do. They just keep us as that primary source where they go out and they have their fun with other narcissists. Typically those narcissists that are grandiose. They go out and they have a good time with them, don't they? And they leave us home alone. Because they know that you're highly sensitive. You can find real happiness and pleasure in things. And they don't want you to go around them doing that. They already know that if they treat you right, let's say they have sex with you every night, you go out places, you do enjoyable things together, that's going to cause a problem for them. It's going to suck them into reality where they cannot be happy, and they have to witness your happiness, which is, they're just going to be envious of that, and they're going to want to destroy it. So of course it's much easier for them to surround themselves with other fake people where they can continue to live in the delusion. It's kind of like a bunch of people who go out and they're all on drugs, they're all drinking alcohol. It's boring for them to be around someone who's sober, someone who doesn't drink, someone who's still grounded in reality. No, they'd rather just live in the fake world. Just drink alcohol and pretend like they're having fun, even though it's not real. So that's how that works. When a narcissist meets an empath, they're not looking at it like, oh, you know, as though they're gonna come around and have fun with us. Whether it's in a sexual way or anything else, they're never looking at it like that. That's completely wrong. I know anyone who is watching this right now who is an empath and they've been involved with a narcissist, your sexual needs were completely neglected the entire relationship, the entire marriage, while they were out having fun with these sleazy, narcissistic people who are potentially just grandiose narcissists or somatic narcissists themselves. That's how it works. And I know all of you who have experienced that, you will already know that already. They just don't like us. Empaths, we are always alone. We tend to be scapegoated by our families and even entire communities. We're always alone, we're always isolated, and that is real. That's how it happens in real life. So, of course, I would advise for you, as someone who has been abused by a narcissist, you've been targeted, scapegoated by your family, maybe even your entire community, and you've got no one there for you, no support, you're isolated. course, it would only make sense for you to be with another empath. And funny enough, that person is going to be in likely the exact same situation as you. Because this is what narcissists do to us. They scapegoat us, they want to isolate us, cut us off from the family, cut us off from everyone. So if you're looking for an empath, they're going to be in the exact same boat as you. They may have experienced a little bit of bullying themselves. They may have been shunned out of certain groups, certain communities. So you should already know, as long as you're around a group of people, these networks, these groups, there aren't going to be any empaths around there. The 1 to 2% of empaths in this world, they're alone. They're the ones we see in these online communities. They're the ones who, they're just always alone. They're typically targets of bullies in schools. They're the ones who like to read books. They spend a lot of time in libraries. Maybe they like to go out hiking, going for walks. Those are empaths. Empaths cannot exist around a lot of people for a long period of time. Because that's the whole concept of an empath, is that we are always giving out energy to support other people emotionally. So we just can't be around large groups of people. It's just not possible. Yes, that does make us attractive. Just to be used for our energy. Where they may give us a false character just to come in and manipulate us. And then we're stuck in a situation where it's like we have to do all of the dirty work. We're paying for everything, paying for the bills, taking them shopping, washing the dishes, doing their laundry. And that's the best that we get. Well, they're out off having fun, or should I say they're fake fun. I mean, all it really is it's they're living vicariously through us. When they go out, it looks like they're having fun with their friends or their other sources of supply. They're just thinking in their heads, I bet he or she is miserable at home, washing my clothes, cooking my dinner, while I'm out with the boys, I'm out with the girls, we're going to the bar, we're drinking ourselves stupid. But I already know that you as an empath, as I've experienced myself, when they leave the house, that is the best moment in the world. When you can just spend time to yourself. You can watch a movie, you can read a book. You can just do what you want to do. And a lot of them, they don't even realize it. Which is why when you see them coming home, you've got to put that book away, turn off the TV, turn off my videos, don't let them see that you are happy when they're not around. Because otherwise, they're going to get angry at you. They're going to make you feel bad for doing these things, for having your alone time. Because as I said, when they're going out with their boys, their girls, it's fake fun. They're experiencing it vicariously through you. They can't find satisfaction in it themselves. Their satisfaction just comes from elevating themselves at other people's expense. So even when they go out with other people, they could be at a bar, a club, whatever it is. They'll always find someone there to pick on, someone to bully. It could be someone in their own friend group, or just someone they'll always find someone to harass. Even when they're leaving you at home, there's always someone else that they can find, someone to pick on, until it gets to the point where that person just wants to be left alone as well. This is just what we're doing. This is the way it's going for our crowd, our types of people. It is the narcissist that you see flock into these cities, to these bars, these nightclubs. They're all over dating apps, all over social media. These are all narcissists. People like ourselves, we just want to be in quiet spaces. I mean, you can't even imagine the amount of energy that I have to expend just to get on here and to make a video. You can probably tell that by the end of it, I'm completely drained. But I do tend to find quiet spaces, as you can see in all of my videos. I cannot be around large groups of people. If you're a real empath, you just can't do it. It's like you're going through the city and you just feel like the life is being drained out of you. That's how it feels as a real empath. But that's the best thing as well, is when you do get around someone, maybe another empath, someone who's on the same page, they understand you. It's just an incredible feeling, and you can really bond with them. And that's just a beautiful thing to see as well. You know, an empath who maybe they've been bullied throughout their life, they've been isolated, they've been picked apart. And then finally, they find their independence. Maybe they found solitude before that. They found themselves. And then it's like they've grown. They've emerged from their cocoon. And they can be around other types of people who are more like themselves. For me, that is a beautiful thing to see. But of course, for these narcissists, it makes them sick. They hate it to see two empaths together. Well, on one hand, they like it. On the other hand, they hate it. I mean, they'd rather that, you know, your family, your exes, they don't want to see you with another narcissist who could potentially work with you to get revenge on them. You know, that's going to put you in quite a powerful position. But for you to be with another empath, you know, that could quiet you down more. You know, that's not going to give you so much power. You know, two empaths together, it may not be something that might change the world, so to speak. It seems to be more narcissists who are in these powerful positions. So when those two energies come together, I mean, I think there's something more to it. If two empaths do come together, you know, that could be a very powerful and influential couple. Definitely, yes. if I'm being honest and truthful. I mean, that could have quite a great impact on the world. And it makes sense if you look at the way the world is today and how empaths are so rare, especially two empaths being together. I mean, two empaths together, that could impact communities, everything. It could really change a lot in the world, of course. I mean, just imagine myself, you know, I'm, as an empath myself, I'm putting out these messages. I'm having quite a huge impact on the world. I mean, before I started making these videos, no one really knew about narcissism back in 2018. And I would just look at it. It's all over YouTube. It's on TV. Even people like Donald Trump now are being labeled as narcissists. It's going mainstream. There's even songs about it. There's a song by Ty Dolla $ign. He mentions a narcissist in one of his songs, and Taylor Swift as well. So it's everywhere now. An empath's influence can be very powerful. So yeah, I do take that back. If I am being completely honest, two empaths together, that is potentially more powerful than two narcissists together. Especially if it's two super empaths. But as we know, that is extremely rare. But if Sam Vaknin said, a super empath, that's like less than 1 in a million. But I definitely do identify myself as a super empath. I mean, I've made it this far, and even up until this point, I am still highly empathic. But that never really goes away. If you're more prone to being narcissistic, you're always going to be that way. If you're more prone to being empathic, you're always going to be that way. It's just more about how it impacts our children. That's how it changes the world. We don't change in our lifetimes. It's more the next generation. But yeah, that is genuinely what I believe. But that being said, it's definitely better for you to be around other empaths if you can find them. I would imagine that most of us here are empaths. But as I said, they do tend to be alone. They're typically targets, victims of bullies. They don't tend to have too many friends. And it's because they're usually envied. I mean, people are attracted to them, but then also a lot of people hate them as well. Because they can't experience life in the way that we do. I mean, it's so easy for us. We have tons of energy. We never run out of energy. As long as we're not constantly around narcissists, we're always happy, joyful, full of life. You look at narcissists, they're always tired, miserable. They can't find satisfaction in anything. So they could have all of the cars, all of the houses in the world. They're still not happy. We could just have nothing. Just go for a walk in the park. Everything feels good again. So of course, naturally, they would envy us. But I have seen empaths before. I have had experiences with empaths in the past. I experienced it many years ago. But back then, because I wasn't an awakened empath, I was more attracted to narcissists and their false character. So when I came across people who were empathic, and they were there for me, they were there to listen to me, I just kind of pushed them away. I didn't pursue those relationships. And we don't tend to do that when we're not awakened. But now that I am an awakened empath, I can pick it out immediately. I know straight away when I see a real empath. I may not be able to identify it online. I mean, of course, that's more difficult. You can't really know who a person is unless it's through videos. Can give it away sometimes. But in person, straight away, I can see it in their eyes. I know. And it's because when we're awakened empaths, we can see it more in ourselves. Like before, I kind of recognized when I would feel guilt or shame, and I would feel bad for other people. But I didn't know what an empath was, and I didn't identify myself as one. But now that I know what I am, of course, yes, I can identify that straight away in other people. Because now I'm self-aware. I can see it in myself. So straight away, yes, I know immediately when I see that in another person. I mean, of course, it would make sense if you know who you are, you're in tune with, what you're about, you're self-aware. Once you become an awakened empath, you just need to look into another person's eyes and straight away, you know their intentions. And a lot of times you don't even need to do that. I've had experiences where before I even looked into their eyes, I could just sense the energy coming into the room. That's just how it feels. A lot of times, you could just feel the energy around you. It's just so different. Like when you're in a city and everything's so cold and distant, everything's so indifferent. But then, when you're in the presence of an empath, it's like a warm hug. You can just feel, it feels affectionate. So it's a very different experience. And that is very attractive. Once you do become an awakened empath, at least. When you're not awakened, it will repel you. because then you may be more drawn to the false character of the narcissist. But don't mistake that to being attracted to narcissists. It's the false character. And you're trying to get that back. Deep down, you don't want anything to do with who they actually are. If you knew from the very beginning, this is who they are, they're not going to change, you would run far away. We all would. But when you become awakened, that empathic energy, it is irresistible. It really is. And I'm sure many of you are awakened now after dealing with the narcissist. And that's why these videos are so addictive. I remember myself when I first found these videos on YouTube. I was watching them hours every day. It's just an incredible experience. After you've been through this your entire life, and then you become awakened, and then you discover these communities, and it's like, wow, so some people actually do care for real. I actually do matter to someone. That's why these videos are so addictive. Because it's the opposite of what we've been dealing with narcissists. And I know myself, I'm sure many of you experienced this when I watch people's videos. Because yes, I do watch other videos about this as well from other YouTubers. And it's just very different to what you experience in the real world. Because in real life, no one wants to listen to your problems. No one really cares. They're more worried about themselves. They're more worried about just short-term gratification. And then you come onto YouTube and it's like people actually care. Because you're seeking it out, you're looking for it. That's how you're finding it. And that's what I did as well. You know, I searched for it, I found the results. And it was just so refreshing for me. As far as I knew, it was the first time I found it in my life. When in actuality, I had experienced it before. It's just back then I wasn't as aware. I wasn't as in tune with it as I am right now. And in some ways I am grateful for having these experiences with narcissists, because it's helped me to become more attuned to what it is that I really desire. So it's actually enhanced these positive experiences as well. So that's one thing to be grateful for. You can hear the planes flying. I've actually already booked my flight to Japan. I was there around this time last year. If you look at my live videos from this time last year, you will see I did a bit of traveling in South Korea and Japan. I had some really good videos back then as well. You know, I still look back at my older videos and I still agree with everything that I said back then. There's very few things that I disagree with. I mean, I will be honest, there is one thing that does stand out to me, and that is how I said that narcissists can't become self-aware and that they can't change. Well, that's not completely true. I mean, the disorder, as far as we know, that is permanent. It never goes away. It's not curable. But narcissists definitely can make some positive changes if they're around the right people, if they're in the right environment. I mean, what it really takes is someone who is understanding and supportive. They need to be with a medical professional who knows about the disorder and can help them to work through it. But of course, for that to happen, they need to have a certain level of self-awareness and a desire to change. So it has to be where the disorder is causing them problems in their family life, in their relationships. It's pushing people away. So they've become a collapsed narcissist. But not only that, they have to be unhappy with being a collapsed narcissist, where they've lost their sources of supply and they don't like being alone. For them to choose to go to therapy and work with a therapist so that they then can get all of those things back. So that's typically how it works. But then also what they will learn in therapy is that they do need to be doing it for themselves rather than for other people. That can't be their only motivation, otherwise they're not going to stick with it. Because for all of us, situations, people, they do come and go a lot of times. So what happens if those people don't stay in their lives? Then they may go back to their narcissistic behaviors. So yeah, I do take that back. Although I will say that this is very rare. I mean, just look on YouTube, there's very few self-aware narcissists. We don't see this too often. Although I have been speaking with one self-aware narcissist through email, a grandiose narcissist, and he's been working with a therapist for the past few years. And I will be doing an interview with him on YouTube very soon. So keep an eye out for that. I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know, many of you probably thought that I would never change in this way. You know, I've always been the Narc Survivor. You know, like the one person who's against narcissists no matter what. But I gotta say, I spoke with this guy on the phone for about 5 hours a few weeks ago. And his story really touched my heart. And it's really helped to uplift me as well. You know, I think I have my own kind of trauma, which is kind of healing me in a way as well. Because it's never good when we're holding resentment and grudges, you know, against large groups of people. That's never a good thing. I mean, yes, there were narcissists in our lives that hurt us. Even then, I still believe in forgiveness and compassion, only from afar, because they may not be self-aware. They're probably not looking to change in most cases. But yes, I do stand by that. Some narcissists, they actually can make consistent changes in their lives. It's actually possible. Bubba is saying there in the live chat, Lee Hammock is a self-aware narcissist on YouTube. I actually watch his videos a lot. I do enjoy Lee Hammock's videos, yes. He's very good. A lot of what he says I agree with. At first I didn't really believe in it. You know, this took me about 1 year, maybe more, until I finally accepted that it is possible for narcissists to become self-aware and to make consistent changes. And it can be very confusing at times as well. Because they are very charming, very charismatic. But then there are things that I'm not so sure about as well. Well, I watched a video from Sam Vaknin, how he said that all he has is the false self. And it made me think, so even if a narcissist becomes self-aware and they try to make consistent changes, even then that's just the false self. It's still not a real person. It was quite a touching video. I mean, there is definitely, you know, this thing with me and narcissists where I do feel sorry for them. A lot of them. I mean, they've obviously had to go through a lot. It's very difficult for them to change. The disorder is incurable. They'll never get to experience life in the way that we can. You know, if they do have the full-blown disorder. And that is very sad. It really is. Because the things that happen to them, they never asked for those things, to experience those things in their childhood. They just had to deal with the hand that they were dealt with in life. And that's really sad when you think about it. When you think about the narcissist as a child, they never asked to go through any of that. But they do make the choices later in life. And they should be held accountable for that. For the things that they do to their victims. But any narcissist that is self-aware, and if they're trying to make consistent changes, they're working with a therapist, in that case, you know, if they've been working with a therapist for years and they're really trying, whoever they are, I am willing to give them a chance. I am willing to be there for them and to support them. Because everyone deserves another chance, no matter who they are. If it's genuine, I mean, that should be what we all want. But know the difference. Is this something that they're committed to? Have they proven it over time? Or is it just another Hoover? They're just coming back to love bomb you. Yes, I can change. I can be different. I can be better. I can be everything that you need me to be. You see how easy it is? Anyone can do that. But can they prove it over time? Or is it just another illusion? Time reveals all. But if they've proven it over time, then yes, of course, it is our duty to give them another chance. In those rare cases, of course. Because otherwise, the problem's not them anymore, then it's us. And we're the problem. Of course, this is why. This self-aware narcissist, he emailed me, and we are going to do an interview together, because I don't want to be a hindrance, a problem for someone else, someone who's making a genuine change, a difference in their life. They've been to therapy for several years. I mean, that is incredible. Can you imagine the strength that it must have taken to do that? So I congratulate something like that. I admire it, I respect it. Of course, as we will see in the interview, I do not approve of narcissistic behaviors, things that harm other people. Manipulation, gaslighting, I do not approve of that at all. But what I'm saying is that people deserve forgiveness. They deserve another chance if it's genuine. If it's genuine. Because we're not narcissists, we do forgive. We do not hold grudges for life. When people are genuinely trying to change. Just as we would wish for ourselves, because none of us are perfect. If we made a mistake and we genuinely want to make it right, we genuinely want another chance, we would expect people to give us that chance, of course. And if they didn't, then it's them. Then they're the problem. And we would know that. So that's how I justify it. That's how I've had to accept that, yes, some narcissists can be self-aware. They can make consistent changes. And for me, who I really look down on is the psychologists, the mental health professionals who refuse to work with these self-aware narcissists. I mean, that really makes me sick. Because these are qualified professionals who have a duty to be there to support these types of people. Especially when they're trying to change. And in fact, by refusing to do that, they are providing a disservice to our society. So that is really what disgusts me. I don't like that at all. But what I do respect is those mental health professionals who do work with self-aware narcissists, those who are serious about changing. That's great. Of course, I understand it can be a touchy topic for some. When we've experienced this personally ourselves, of course. But everyone deserves another chance if they show a genuine desire to change and be better. Anyway, I think that's enough for this message. I think we've learned enough about what makes these narcissists so very unattractive. just like to thank you all for joining me, and you can show your support by giving this video a thumbs up down below. Very important, as it does help to support our YouTube algorithm, and it will get this message out there. You can also let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Let me know if you agree with this or not. Let me know your thoughts, because I understand that I have said some things that are quite controversial. And of course, you are entitled to your own opinions as well. And hit that subscribe button down below and click the bell icon so that you will receive notifications for my future videos. Dylan Flynn says, I hope you retract this. Consumer Shout Reviews says, I strongly disagree. My response into that is no, of course. I will not reject myself or my opinions. This is what I believe. Even though I've had my own experiences with narcissists throughout my life, I will always be there with open arms for anyone who genuinely desires to change. And I stand by that, just by Jesus and any other prophet of God. They would all show mercy and forgiveness to anyone who desires to change if it is genuine. I believe that is the right thing to do. But as I said, let me know all of your opinions down below. I appreciate all of your comments, as long as you provide constructive criticism and you're able to go into it deeper. And if you'd like to book a one-on-one coaching session with me, I am available to you. You can go to my website. It is narcsurvivor.co.uk. And follow me on Instagram as well. It's Narc Survivor YouTube. I have new pictures and videos of my travels every day on there. Thank you all. I do have a premiere later this evening, and I look forward to joining you there.